This is a very late part two to my part one review of the Maniac Netflix show. I was meant to get this out earlier, but some things came up, so here it goes. So this is not spoiler free at all. I'm just gonna assume that you have watched the show. If you haven't, go and watch it if you're interested. If you're not interested, then just don't watch this video. It will make no sense. There is no point in you watching this video. So first of all, I'm just going to assume that you have seen this show. I am not recapping any of the storyline. And also, I will be talking about the entirety of the show. I know this is a part two, but it's not like I'm only talking about the second half of the show. I'm just going to be mentioning some of the more general problems I have with it, rather than specific little things. So, here goes. My first issue with it is the world building of the show. Now, I have mentioned this briefly in my part one, but I'm going to be talking about it a little more right now. So, first of all, I didn't expect any world building for the subconscious episodes, like the episodes when we see what they're seeing during the direct trial. Like, that's fine. It's sort of like a dreamlike world that they're going through, and I totally understood that. I think that the actual ideas that they were coming up, like, I definitely saw how their subconscious is really linked to like what we dream. Like, some of our dreams may be normal, some of our dreams may be really weird and out of the ordinary. So I definitely appreciated like them having like different scenarios for each episode, and I really found that interesting to see what happens next. What I'm talking about is the real world, like the world that they're showing us in episode 1, 2, and 10, I think. So basically, we quickly realize in episode 1 that we are not in the world as we know it. Whether it's the past, present, or future, it's never explained. Whether it's just, you know, like another universe or like a parallel universe, something like that. It's never explained. We're just left to assume what actually is this world, which I guess it could be interesting, but if you're going to introduce something sci-fi and something new, like a new world, you might as well explain the origin to the viewer rather than just going, they'll understand. It doesn't matter, because I don't know about you, but I did not understand what was happening. So I found some of the things that they introduced really interesting, like, paying for a friend, or, having people say adverts at you rather than, pop up ads that we get on our phones when we're playing free games or things like that. Like, it was definitely a social commentary on the real world. And I got that. I got that. That was fine. But you can't just put that for the sake of, oh, I had an idea, I want to put that in here, it seems cool, because it doesn't make sense. Like, what is this world? It has like an 80s feel, but is it the 80s? No, it isn't, because you have all these other stuffs in it that makes it real, that makes it clear that it's not the 80s. So it just leaves you wondering, what country are they in, what year is this? All of these questions are left unanswered, and they're not good questions to have left unanswered. Like, sure, you can leave certain things up to the viewer's imagination, but when it comes to world building, if you're gonna make a new world, then you have to make a new world, and you have to introduce it. You have to make it clear to the viewer what world this actually is, and the show did not. It just seemed lazy. My second problem is the structure of the storyline. So this is not like a major problem, just like an idea I had. So this actual structure is episodes 1 through to 4 is the introduction to Owen and Anna, I think it was. God, I forgot their names. Anyways, Jonah Hill's and Emma Stone's characters, their introduction and how they got into the drug trial, and yeah, it's pretty clear, Jonah Hill is schizophrenic and there's a trial coming up, and then Emma Stone is just poor and a drug addict and so on and so on. So yeah, the clichéic messed up past, we get that, and then they're going to the drug trial for different reasons, the both of them. And then episodes 5 through to 9 is the subconscious episodes where you see what they're seeing, the random storylines I called it, where things happen in each episode. You get a hint as to like what their real troubles are, and then we got like we got to see Emma Stone's time with her sister, and then it all goes wrong, and then some other things happen, I guess. You know, new doctors get introduced and things like that, and then there's the conclusion where Jonah Hill and Emma Stone drive off into the sunset. So it's all good. It's not bad, but here's what I would have liked to see. This is just one of my ideas that I think it would have been interesting. Hopefully, I can get it across without going too much into details. So I think it would have been really nice if they did episode like 5 to 9 as the first 4 episodes. So you start off with that first episode that we get where Jonah Hill and Emma Stone are married, and they're trying to get a like a what was it, a lemur? Yeah, they're trying to get a lemur back to a lady. And I think that if they started with that episode and carried on with the other episodes where it's like they're in the drug trial, they are under the drugs, and then at the end they wake up and you're like, oh, it's that cliche of this is all a dream, but it's not that cliche because it's not all a dream, it's all a drug trial, it's something new, something interesting. And then you see more of them. So I think the introduction was necessary, but I think what would have been really cool is if they would have had like either flashbacks, which they did have in this show. So it's not like it wouldn't have worked. It's not like it's something new that I'm saying. Like flashbacks would have worked, or during the subconscious episodes, they would have had like memories from real life coming back, like just glimpses of conversations or things like that. It was in that, I think it was in episode 5, where even though they were in the subconscious sequence, Emma Stone started talking about how her parents separated, and Jonah Hill was like, "But they got back together, right? Because your parents in this reality are not separated." So it kind of had that hint to like what their reality is. So I think it would have been really cool if you had this drug trial. Like the whole point was that you had this drug trial where you had to figure out who these characters actually were and what their real lives actually were like. And then the drug trial goes wrong, and then you're introduced to their actual worries. Owen is schizophrenic, and Anna, I'm just gonna call her Anna. I don't know what her name is, but I'm just gonna call her Anna. And Anna has, grief of her sister's death and the guilt, and wanting to be with her even though she knows she's dead. And then you had that the conclusion that we had from the beginning. Like the conclusion was fine. I liked it. It makes sense. Anna's character was innovative and compulsive and doing random things. And then Jonah Hill, it makes sense for him to have been in a therapist. I think it was like therapy or something, like hospitalized, because he still had those issues, and also he needed a safe spot from his family. So the conclusion made sense. Um, Maybe Jonah Hill wouldn't have looked so confused the entire time of the show if that was the structure, but I don't know. That's just my opinion. Now there are other things that I wasn't really quite happy with. For example, okay, we get it. Emma Stone got the chance to finally talk to her sister and come to terms with her sister's death. But what did Jonah Hill actually get out of this drug trial? Was it the fact that he faced his schizophrenia? Because apparently he didn't, because after the drug trial, he still went to a therapist. He still got hospitalized. So what exactly did Jonah Hill achieve in the end? What demons did he fight off? Uh, that, in my opinion, was not explained. If you figured it out, please let me know. I still don't quite understand, because my idea is that it is the fact that his brother, that he always he's the only one that he can see. Um, that character sort of disappears after the drug trial because his purpose disappears. But we're left to think that it does not, because he still gets hospitalized. So I'm not sure. And then one of my other issues is, you could say it's controversial, but the fact that, again, this links to the world building, the fact that they set this in a very 80s like fashion, and it's got Jonah Hill and Emma Stone. They're both um, really liked actors in the industry. They're both really relatable characters, so to speak. And then again, some things like the soundtrack and the doctors and the song and the songs and everything like that. It seems to me that it's a little bit commercial. You're gonna laugh at this because the whole movie was kind of niche. Like, it was kind of indie, that's for sure. But the fact that they knew what to put in order to attract the indie crowd makes it commercial. So again, like the fact that they had so many 80s related thing, like 80s fashion is coming back. We all know that. Therefore, if we see, especially in the doctors, if you see this kind of like 80s look, you're gonna be interested in the show. And I'm not saying it's a wrong thing to look for ways to make the show interesting, but again, going back to the world building, it doesn't make sense in the actual show. Therefore, why did they do it? But there are definitely some positives in the show. I'm not saying it's a bad show. The acting was really good. Obviously, Emma Stone, like, I love her as an actress. Like, I loved La La Land and Birdman. Like, she's great. And then Jonah Hill, we got to see him in a more serious role. Like, I've only seen his comedies, so I think this is the first time where I'm really seeing his acting capabilities in something that's not a comedy. So well done to Jonah Hill for the role. It was done really well. The fact that the storyline is like so weird and so new. Again, this isn't the original show. The original show is Norwegian, but as far as I understand, there's many differences between this show and the Norwegian show, which is what makes this show unique rather than just a ripoff. And I think this is something new that the American audiences haven't seen yet. And the fact that it's on Netflix, and it makes it more accessible for mainstream audiences to get introduced to, like, new ideas. I definitely like that. And again, as I've said before in my previous video, the cinematography, it was really nice. That it had some really nice color schemes in certain shots. It's a really pleasing show to watch. And the costume design, like as you can see in this picture, the costumes were absolutely amazing. So well done for that. And that's all I have to say on Maniac. It was an interesting show, and I don't regret watching it. It was time well spent. It was pretty cool. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.